McInerney from Croaky here, and I'm talking to artist and physiotherapist Margaret Ambridge, and we're actually an adjunct in a sense of the Australian Palliative Care Conference, and we're at Margaret's exhibition. You can hear in the background a video installation, but Margaret's just going to give us a little tour of the exhibition, which I think is just extraordinary and remarkable. But perhaps you can begin and just tell us about it, how it came about and what you've aimed to do.
So this work is 200 photographs from a series of 1,200 photographs that show the journey of a bunch of flowers. And so the drawing started off as white, as you can see, and we drew the flowers, and then they became quite perfect at this point. And then I gradually changed the flowers as they aged. So as a version of time-lapse, but through drawing, and then they aged the flowers down to the final end. And this is the actual final drawing. And so underneath this charcoal drawing are all of those previous drawings. And from that I used that as the imagery for the video that I made about
which is just into that there.
Playing over there.
Now I'm just going to pop you in a bit of context if I can. So you are a physio working in a hospice, yeah?
Yes,
and the exhibition is called Till Death.
It is.
What inspired you to look at flowers? What was that about?
So there was a lady that came into our unit a few years ago, and I had to try and treat her, and she was surrounded by a florist shop of flowers and a lot of people, and she was dressed up beautifully. She actually had a hairdresser there, makeup, and she whispered to me and said, could you take these people away? I'm exhausted. And so I said, yes, okay. And then while I was doing that, she also said to me, could I clear some of the flowers that had died, because she found them a bit depressing. And in taking them all away, I found a little tiny group of bud roses that had never seen water, and they were under the bed and they were all shrivelled. And I picked them up and went to take them away, and she said to me, oh, they're actually quite beautiful. And I said, yes they are. And I said, do you mind if I take them home and draw them? And she said, no, that'd be lovely. And so when I went back to see her again a couple of days later to see her, or to treat her, she was in a side room, she was dying, no makeup, no friends, and just the flowers. And she was alone, and I found that terribly sad, that after all this entourage of friends and people, when it came to the chemo, they'd gone, but I still had the flowers. And then I just saw from that the flowers gave a sort of a parallel journey with the people that run through hospice. That we have flowers; they're our companions for life. We have them when we have a baby, and in pleasurable, happy times in life. We have them at funerals, and a lot of flowers come into hospice, and they age and dry and deteriorate, and sometimes they outlive the people, and sometimes the people outlive them. And I just saw an incredibly strong metaphor in that. And so a lot of the work here are about the flowers that travel through hospice.
Beautiful. And we have another sense of that over here. Shall we walk
we can go
to you? Yeah. So the exhibition travels all the way down there. We're at the Kerry Packer
Civic Gallery.
Yeah. So we're just walking down for this, and we're going to run into some of your patrons here.
So these are real pillows, and I was just trying to contrast just a little bit of what's left of a person, and that sort of what remains as they leave is really just the impression on the pillow. And so I've done that in the literal form here, and if we go a little bit further down, we'll see it as a drawing. And it's in that I was again trying to capture what remains of the person, that last little bit of essence. And I had a conversation with a friend of mine who said that when her mother died, or when they took the body away, she was so traumatised to see the pillow start to raise up and lose the shape of her mother's head, that she had to put herself down in the pillow to try and keep it, because she was just so terrified to see that thing change, that was all that was going to be left. And so that was just a very moving story that she shared with me, and I just thought, this is what the artwork is, what I'm trying to help people have those stories and be able to share that. And her husband was very moved by hearing that story, and obviously it's something they hadn't shared together, but they were able to because of the piece of artwork, and were able to talk about it. And that's happened over the last few days, happened multiple times with me, where people have just come and shared their stories about their loved ones, or about losing a child. Someone's talking to me about their child this afternoon, and incredibly moving stuff. But it also has allowed a lot of people to talk amongst themselves about things they probably wouldn't have done. So.
And is that the role for you of art in this
I think in this state, no, not this actual state, but what I mean, in palliative care, normally the conversation's about the person who's dying, as it very much must be and should be, but often not about the people who care for those who are dying. And I just think if I can just show a little bit of the other side of what it's like to work in palliative care, and that's the video that we've talked about is about other workers' experiences of working in palliative care. That we are all human and we are affected by what we do, but we have to remain professional, and therefore you don't always see that side. You know, we have to be very neutral while we treat people, but really we are affected by people, and we will never forget some people. So.
And we could go all the way down there, I would love to, but let's just scoot over here, because this is another amazing piece of work, and it's part of a series too, isn't it?
It is, yes. Yes.
And this was actually, as we were just talking about, it was highlighted today at the conference by one of the international speakers. But can you tell us it was just, it came from many conversations that we had at the palliative care unit about patients that were dying and their loved ones were just having to sit next to the bed and hold their hand through a bed rail. And so often you still want to be able to lay next to your loved one, and if you've been lying in a bed together for 50 years, why do you have to just hold a hand through a bed rail? So it took many years to work through that for everybody, the staff and the service, to accept that a double bed might be a reasonable thing to have in a facility. So, from a nursing point of view, it's a lot more difficult to nurse somebody across the width of a bed. Pressure care is sometimes an issue. I think it's just the whole. It's also it sort of went against the medicalisation, I guess, of the fact that you might still want to lie next to each other at that stage. And from that, we've had children that lie next to their parents as they pass away, or in the last few days of their life. And we've had people that have actually climbed into bed and laid next to their dead or their partner after they have died, which I initially found quite confronting, but now I just think if that's what helps them and that's their last memory and that last touch, then we shouldn't be denying them that. So I think that's just and the significance of them being naked.
It's about, I guess, how we enter life, how we leave life. We are naked in our expression of touch sometimes, and it's back to just the purity of the person, of humanity, and that doesn't mean clothes. So it's not literal in that sense. So yeah.
It's beautiful. As I said, all the work is just so striking and just blows you away to see at the beginning. I think a lot because it touches places where we don't normally go, doesn't it?
It does, and I really just want people to see a little bit of window into palliative care, and it's not quite as scary as perhaps we all think it is, and we probably don't go there unless we have no choice. But this hopefully gives people the ability to go and have a look at the palliative care world without stepping into one. So it gives you that chance to have those conversations that we probably all need to have.
And in terms of self-care, is art an important part of that for you?
It is. Yes, I think it's lovely to be able to go to that space in my head after a day at work, but I'd say the driver really for me is that I think it's an important role for me to use my interest in art to give people that opportunity to see another part of someone else's world. And it's reality, we're all going to die. And sometimes we don't want to have those conversations at the end of the bed about where we want to die and who we want there to be there. And if we can start those conversations earlier, and if art can be a vehicle for that, then I think I've done something that's good. So,
thank you very much.